And welcome back at 6:12. Voters in South Carolina shook up the race for the Republican presidential nomination.
And to help us understand what will happen next, we are joined by political scientist Stephen Maynard Caliendo. Your middle name is in there.
There you go.
He's a professor with North Central College in Naperville. We'll just call him Steve. Steve, how did Newt Gingrich pull this off? Here's a guy who's been married 3 times, has admitted to infidelity. How did he do so well with these very conservative evangelical voters?
Yeah, and even remember that we had a story that broke just hours before the voting about his second wife being concerned about, or coming out with the story about him wanting to have an open marriage, and he handled it pretty well. Part of it is, I think, less about Newt Gingrich and more about Mitt Romney. I think there's increasing concern that he's out of touch, that he is not connecting with voters, and I don't think that's going to get any easier for him this week.
Do you think Newt Gingrich could beat President Obama this fall?
I think anybody can beat anybody in a presidential election, honestly, especially with the economy being so bad. So I don't think he has much of a chance right now. If you look at the Quinnipiac polls, the head-to-head still show President Obama beating any of the Republican challengers. But remember, it's not too late to draft somebody new. That could always happen as well. So we have a long time till November.
But in the meantime, Mitt Romney is finally going to release his tax returns. He's been steadfast in saying he wasn't going to do it. He must be fearing something in the release.
I think it's a concern. Right. Well, I think what he's fearing is that it's going to send the signal that he pays less of a percentage of his income and taxes than most of us do, or middle-class folks do, and because it's mostly in investments, it's capital gains tax that he's paying. He's only going to release 1 year, though, I think, and then projections for 2011. So I don't know if this issue is going to go away. The Republicans may leave it alone because it's in their ideological makeup to say, we're not going to punish success. But I think that the Democrats are going to be holding on to it for a little while.
And that's the irony of this in the Republican primary, isn't it? They accuse President Obama of class warfare, and yet they have had some debate along the lines of class.
Yeah, along the lines of class, but I don't even know if it's so much about how much Mitt Romney is worth, than rather that he's been making his money doing investing and sort of being part of the problem as opposed to finding solutions.
Really quickly, how about Rick Santorum, the favorite of social conservatives, and Ron Paul?
He doesn't have a lot of money, but he sure has a lot of shoe leather, right? He doesn't mind working hard. He'll walk around. He's going to do his thing. I think that he needed to have a better showing in South Carolina to indicate to some folks that he could do well so he could make more money. I mean, it's hard for him to raise money under these circumstances. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the next one to go, but I'm not going to predict when.
And then, of course, we have to ask the $64,000 question, which has kind of hung over this Republican primary season for a while. Are they beating each other up so badly that they're going to have a hard time facing the president later in the year?
I don't think so. I think that even with Ron Paul, who's probably going to stay in the race until the convention so that he can give a speech at the very least, there is some attacks on one another. But again, I think that Republicans ought to feel comfortable with this because it's going to make them better campaigners in the long run. We have a short memory with respect to these things, and I think it won't take too long until everybody's turning their attention on the president.
Political scientist Steve Caliendo, thank you.
Good
to be with you. See you soon, we hope.